Choose you this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
All right, we have a really interesting question this evening. How does raising and investing in your ex-kids benefit me, as a male? What do I gain from working hard and cashing out on another man's kids? Well, let me give you my little take on it. And yes, it is almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Alright, well, I see a lot of pros and cons, as most people would. You know, the the cons, I'm sure a lot of people already know. You're taking care of other man's person, and all the primitive Neanderthal territorial, oh, he's gonna kill the other male's kids out of dominance. And well, I imagine that is a real problem for particular group or division of society. And it's probably systemic, from social, or not social security, but welfare. And that's another topic. But getting back to the topic of raising another man's children, I would say that would fall in the category of adoption. And, that's a personal choice. But if you can accept everything that surrounds the the idea of what I'm, or not the idea, but of what adoption is, then I'd say that there is a benefit to be had. I would say that I have been to this point convinced, that I have been convinced I won't find a single female without children. And of course, I say I'm too late to have children of my own, but I seem to have this knack of being able to handle, already, developed children that may have derangements. So maybe I should look into, the possibility of that being a blessing more than a curse. Like, let's say that, or not even let's say, okay, I'm an advocate for children. I believe the children are the real victims. Adults have no right to do what they do to children, and, for the most part, get away with it. They have no right. So, let's say I find a female that really has got herself back together, but she does have a child or two, and I were to say, nope, no way I would ever accept this female because she's already had children out of wedlock. Well, what would Christ do, right? I don't know, because he's like me, or not like me, but I strive to be like him, in virginity, no sex before marriage and all of that. Well, my thing is again, of trying to avoid closed-mindedness now, and some forgiveness, and everything else, and my strive to be more Christ-like, as I have from about 7, even earlier, but actually accepted Christ, in Christianity, and became born again at 7 years old, and the older I become, the more I embrace it, to be more Christ-like, as I understand the empathy that was instilled in me by my adoptive parents, mom and dad, that really is the way to salvation, both internal, external, and spiritual. I think I went on a tangent. Shoot. Anyway, so let's say I see I was gonna say see the right female, or let's just go on a again crazy theoretical sidestep here, a side track here, and or one that isn't altogether. Should I, at this point, feel like I could take on the ability to help correct her and her child or children with my abilities that I've developed, which seem to be better suited for that than for raising a young baby. Although as I get older, those abilities seem to develop really well. Take, for instance, my birds, and I'm even talking about, getting a cockatiel, or was hoping that they would have a baby that I could raise by hand. So, I'm getting that mentality for conception to adulthood development as a father. But aside from that, back to where I'm at now, I can handle children with problems like that when they show signs of that and talk to me about that. Of course I don't be like, oh, well, that's exactly what's going wrong with you, and try to psychoanalyze and all that craziness. No, I mean, I will admit I've done that a little bit here and there with my close niece, my brother, biological and adoptive brother's daughter, because we have a closer relationship. So I've known her well enough, and my brother, and have spent time in their life weekly for, the time I could until, they just, everything separated recently, to know how to see the signs and act more appropriately than would have if I were to have been ignoring those signs, as I would in a situation that I wasn't familiar with. See, I really am getting good at this, and that's why I'm saying maybe out of compassion and empathy for those children, and maybe even a female who can at least be humble and blah blah blah, So maybe there is and then that would make somebody like me feel like the most awesome person on the planet, to adopt a troubled child like that and save a situation like that. But that goes against everything I'm learning in MGTOW to avoid a female with children. That's a lot to think about, huh? I guess it takes a real man, a courageous Christian, to be able to work on these things, because that's really what it is. It's a work in progress. It's following God's path, the path God presents for me, and I choose to follow, or leads me down, or you get the metaphor. So yeah, it is what it is. I hope you guys got something out of it, and actually got something out of this myself too, as I started figuring this out, was able to make this video, and again, this is some real time. As I'm figuring this out, we are all learning together.
Answer the phone, Joshua!